Hey everybody, it's Tim Sackett. We're back, another edition of HR Famous. And I'm kind of excited today. I get to introduce somebody who calls
Kind
himself a
of.
visionary, which I think is pompous and could be an asshole. Before I met him, that's what I thought. He didn't even know I was going to open this way. Jonathan Reynolds, the CEO and visionary of Titus Talent. Jonathan, tell us how you became a visionary by calling yourself a visionary.
Well, first of all, you start off saying, I'm kind of excited about today's guest. I'm like, who invites somebody and says, I'm kind of excited? Like, I
Well,
would
like
love
I
to
mean,
hear
like
how you met your
if I
wife.
had
How did
Trump,
you
I
meet
would
your
be
wife?
like, or I'd be really excited, or like Brad Pitt or somebody. I'm like, it's Jonathan. Like I
I
don't.
just want to. I want to know your pickup line with your wife.
Oh my
It's like,
god, it's
yeah,
terrible. No, I
I
got
was
I
kind
got
of
found and
intrigued
was
by.
trained. Yeah.
And how the heck did you get into recruiting? I'm kind of intrigued by you, but I'm not sure.
So like I love this already because everyone that's listening, all 7 listeners, will they already know we have like this like I think like when I felt this and you're really like I hope you just like fuck with me now. Like when we first met, like immediately I was like, yeah, he's got my kind of like this kind of deep like dark comedy. And we're gonna have fun with each other.
Totally. I That's usually the stuff that I talk about with my therapist is my dark humor and where it really comes from. So, why am I the way I am? It's like,
Well, I think it was Daniel Tosh, the like stand-up comedian that said like he goes like he was trying to like tell women like just know that if you ever had the chance to see the thoughts in your boyfriend's or husband's head, you would run screaming immediately away and never come back.
totally, totally. Um, Vision. Okay, so your first question was, how do I get to call myself a visionary? Um, yeah, not really by choice. I run our business, sort of small mid-sized business, and we run it on an operating system in the similar way you might be an Apple user or an Android user or whatever. You have to have an operating system. Like, how do you run your thing
Yeah.
that you do? And so we run it on an operating system called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and one of their concepts is um, that somebody needs to be responsible for vision and direction. Where are you going to be? Where's your sort of BHAG down the road, 10 years down the road? What
Yeah.
does that look like? What does it look like in 3 years' time? What does that picture like? What, you know, give the picture of the compelling future for us so everybody can be on board with where we're going and then why. So somebody needs to set that, the true north.
And you're
And
like,
so
"Hey, I'm paying the bills. I'll take that one."
exactly. Usually it falls into that sort of founder owner category who's in the business, not an outside owner, but somebody who's actually involved in the business. Set the vision of where you go, and then every good visionary needs that right hand person, and they call it an integrator. You can call it an operator, or a COO, or a president, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody's job is to actually execute and make it happen.
Yes.
So you set the
Yeah.
vision, and it's rare that you have somebody who is amazing at both. So actual follow through.
Usually not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I come up with 10 ideas a day, and maybe one of them are good. Um, and I need somebody who's blunt and straight and honest to tell me that the 9 are not good.
Yeah.
And so, or just kind of humor me a little bit. So they give this, the operating system says we'll call that a visionary, and so that's why I have that title.
Yeah.
I don't like going around. I don't go around going, "Hello, I'm a Jonathan David Reynolds, and I'm a visionary." Like it does sound very pompous.
But it
Uh,
does with the glasses and the accent. It sounds official. I'd be like, God damn, he is. Like, what are we gonna do
well,
about this?
as you know, these glasses are not doing anything other than being my microphone and my headset. So uh, just looks better than looking like the air traffic controller on a podcast. Sorry if you have those guests. I always laugh at them when they come on my
But
podcast.
they have like the thing coming down,
The, the,
big headsets.
the big headset.
I was like, are we gaming after this or before? Like, I didn't understand what was going on here. Does that make
Uh,
you better? By the way, though, I do have like a headshot from like I was on some radio show and they do the whole thing and like has the mic hanging down and like when you're in like the professional like thing, you sound like in your own head you sound so good, like you sound super sexy, and I'm like, God damn, if I sounded like this in my head to my wife, we might have 23 children. Like that's all I'm saying is that it sounds super sexy when you get that going.
well, thank you. What are we doing now?
You're like, why do we go down this path?
Um,
You need to tell everybody like what your company is, what you guys do. Let's do that.
What is the name of this podcast? Is it,
HR Famous, which
and you
is
just talked
tongue. It
about how
was kind of
sexy
like
my
making
voice
fun
is. And,
of.
oh, okay,
It's
okay.
making fun of like that. Like I'm not really famous. I'm just HR famous.
Oh, I get you. I get you. Because I felt a little bit uncomfortable when you started talking about my sexy voice and stuff. I was just going to wonder who to call if I could call HR for now.
Yeah. No, you can't. I'm
Okay.
HR.
I am HR. All right. What was the question? Where are we going?
What's Titus? What do you guys do?
Oh, Titus. So yeah, Titus Talent Strategies really born out of my own frustration. I think my frustration with the recruiting industry, the agency world. I think, like most of us who found ourselves in it, you didn't go to school for this. I was like, when I was, 7 years old, going, one day when I grow up, I want to be a fireman or a ninja or in recruiting.
Doctor. Yeah.
Like, it's like nobody. It's not like it's a career that people want to aspire to go into. You just sort of fall into it, and I fell into it because I realized I love I love people. I love the psychology and how people interact and figure out what they're going to do in life. I find that fascinating. And I love finding problems and going, oh, how we could fix that? What if you did this? What if you did this? And so, how do you make money doing that? Well, I think the biggest problems that companies face often are people. How do I get right people? How to get people to stay? How to get them to work together? How to get them to actually do what you're paying them to do? All that kind of stuff fascinated me. And then I discovered there was this industry called recruiting that was this multi-billion-dollar industry that people pay for this service. And I'm like, wow, selling people legally is amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Legally is the key term there.
yeah. And I was like, this will be my future. The legal selling of people, or renting them out by the hour, as we used to do in the staffing world. But anyway, so I got into this space, and I'm like, why is everyone treating me like I'm like a kind of a dirty, unethical used car salesperson? And I was like, is it me or is it my industry? And I discovered it's actually this industry. People don't trust recruiters in the same way used car salespeople. Now, are there great used car salespeople out there? I'm sure there are, but
Yeah.
none of
Have you
us really
found have you
enjoy.
found one that you've trusted? That's the question, right? Like really.
No, I don't think I've not necessarily found one I've trusted. You just kind of go a bit skeptical. What are you hiding? And so Titus was started. I grew up in the staffing world, big multi-billion-dollar staffing companies, and I was like, I I want to do it differently. How do I do this? And so had my sort of heavens open moment with an idea, which a different way of doing it. I thought, oh, this will be amazing. Now, there's nothing new under the sun. I realized that if you come up with a different way of doing something, someone's already doing it. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was this amazing idea I had that
There's no
everyone,
new ideas in the world.
you know,
Yeah.
back then I was like, oh, I thought it was this new idea, but basically it's an RPO for mid-sized companies. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what we're doing. It
Yeah, yeah.
evolved over time, and here we are. We're 10 years in and loving life. There's 150 of us on the team, and just making a good impact and enjoying what we're doing, helping companies with talent strategy is what we say. But most of it comes down to recruitment and helping them find the best people who are not looking for a job. So
Yeah. Awesome. So we met because you invited me to come on a cruise, a TA cruise with 1,500 senior citizens, which was amazing. It was basically if you had a TA conference in an assisted living center is what we did.
on water,
Um,
on water.
on water with some waves. Just hoping like let's hope you actually have your sea legs under you. Um, but no, we had like this small group. It was great. Um, and you guys have done this before. Like I think you guys went fly fishing in Oklahoma. And so you kind of like curated this kind of, like activity where you take 2 or 3 days, do some experiential kind of things, but also like bring people together, but not like giant groups. So you get what I loved about it. One was you really get to learn who people are and feel like you really have connection versus like going to a conference, having a cocktail with somebody, and then do you really know them? I think I felt
Right.
like I walked away really knowing a significant number of people way better than I ever would, right?
Yeah.
From that standpoint. So like that kind of I think design, whether you're on a cruise ship or fly fishing or whatever you might
Sure.
do, is amazing. But what I really wanted to talk to you about and took away is when I started to meet the people on your team at Titus that were there as well. What I realized, I think we had something where everyone had to come around and introduce yourself right away, and everybody was just like, I was this broken, like I was this bird with a broken wing, and Jonathan found me and nursed me back to health and turned me into this amazing superstar talent. And it was, everyone had like the same thing. Like they would kill for you. And I'm like, God, I want assassins, that I want to like just find people on the street and then turn them into assassins for me. You're like, so I call it a curator of talent. There's very few people in our world that we meet that are curators of talent, where they see somebody that is kind of a diamond in the rough and immediately just goes, "Hey, you're coming to work for me." Like they're like, "What do you do?" Like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll figure it out. And you might be going, I have no idea like what you're talking about. Like I hired everybody for a reason. There's a job opening. But no, like talk to me about, because I think you've done this probably your entire career, where you've just met people and go, man, that person's a talented person. Like we all do that, but rarely do we hire them. We just go, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. You're a barista. Awesome. Um, and you move on. And but you kind of put this ragtag group together that are really talented people and like obviously create this company. Talk to me about like your how you look at talent, how you view talent when you're building teams, building a company.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to hear somebody's observations of what they, the story they tell themselves. I'm like, what?
I know.
Um,
Yeah. Wait.
so you met,
Also, I know. Yeah, because you had people like crying just in the introduction. I'm like, God damn, who is this visionary god?
well, that's flattering, and also scary. The power I wield over people. But no, I think it's this. The two people that you were mentioning, two or three people who are on the from our team out there,
Yeah.
but one of them was. I remember meeting her. She was introduced to me by somebody who worked in our company. They said, "Please, can you meet with her? She's a bank manager, and the bank just got robbed at gunpoint, and she's like, I can't do this anymore." I'm like, "Sure, I'll meet with her." And
Yeah.
so yeah, she's been working with us for 12 years since then, and I'm like, but I just saw this like loyalty, this commitment, this like.
Yeah. She's willing
She
to take
told
a bullet. Yeah.
me, yeah, but she was like, "I'm done," and I'm like, "All right." I don't think you'll ever have that here. You're going to
Let's hope. Yeah.
I think we can take you, if that's the limit. I can take you pretty far, without you quitting on us. So loyalty was great there. And the other person was one of the youngest D3 football coaches in the country.
Yeah.
Very young, but burned out because he's traveling around recruiting high school
Yeah.
kids to come and join his team. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
And making no money at D3, right? You're
making
like,
no money.
you're literally poor working your ass off.
Yeah, but like he understood teams, he understood
Yeah.
discipline, he understood footwork, he understood like we recount the values every single day, how we show up when we do this, because he's working with young athletes who are crazy hormones and all over the place and attention all over the place. But he could bring an entire team together in that way, and I'm like, okay, that's some great talent, and he had done it being when you're the youngest or the fastest or this. I'm like, there's something there.
Mhm.
And so those are those two people, and deeply aligned value wise. These people, I trust them with my life, like business and personal.
Yeah.
But I've known them both for over a decade, and just top notch character, top notch
Yeah.
people who've grown with me, called me out on my stuff.
So my
Like,
entire narrative is wrong. Those are I met the two people that have like we're like this.
yeah, there's only two
You
of
got
us.
lucky. I just got lucky with a couple. That's it.
Yeah, no, I like to think that people are. I surround myself with people who one can they're excited and compelled by the vision that's been laid out, that they want to do that. They haven't got their own vision.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the word division comes from, like die meaning two, like two visions. And so
Yeah.
if you can create a company, and if there's, even if like there are people in the leadership team, everyone's got their own version and interpretation of what's happening, why you're doing it, and where you're going. Well, that's
Yeah.
division, and you're going to have loads of fragmented stuff going on. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to trust the people to my left and right, that we're all set on what does winning the Super Bowl look like. Like, yes, we can see the trophy, but what is it going to take us to get us there? And we all need to know what our role is in doing that. And we all compelled by, we can't. There's no way we can do it next year. but we can do it in 3 years' time. Like, what will it take to get there in 3 years? And I think that picture right there gets people going, I know where we're going. It's not
Yeah.
just about my annual bonus. It's about winning the Super Bowl. It's going to take us 3 years to get there. We might be able to do it in two, you know, but they're all aligned to that. And I think for me is getting people on the team who see and are aligned with the vision. They're aligned with the definition of our character values, like
Yeah.
how we do what we do.
Yeah.
I always joke around about like integrity. People like, I used to ask people in interviews, I'm like, what did you tell your boss you're doing right now, 11 o'clock on a Tuesday? And they'd be like, oh, I said I was at the dentist. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I like that. I mean, because when things get awkward, you're just very quick to lie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, wait, what? You said
You're
it's,
like,
it's,
I
and
took
I
a
was like,
vacation day. Like, like he
yeah,
was like, who? Yeah.
you could have said something like, I have a personal appointment, but you actually told something that wasn't the truth. So it's totally fine. We'll end the interview here because I just think we have a different definition of the word integrity. It's fine. I just don't want to hire you 6 months down the road and I say, hey, what are you doing on Tuesday? And you tell me you're going to the dentist. And I'm like,
No, you're
I've heard
not.
that before. I've heard that before. Like, I
By
know that
the way, you'll
the
love
case.
this because I tell people all the time. In my like we know like we all everyone has these cultural quirks I think within their companies, and one of mine is never call in sick on a Monday because I know you're lying. Like no one's sick on a Monday. Like if you don't, just I would rather you call and say I don't want to come to work today. Perfect, I got it. No, don't worry about it. But when you call in sick, I immediately go that they're lying or. Like also like that's like a great interview time as well. It's like all of a sudden it's like
Yeah.
yeah, on Monday I'm not going to come in until like noon. I don't feel well. Like what? No, you're interviewing. Like stop.
It's like, yeah, totally. I remember early days in starting the company. You got the insecurity we're too small, but you're trying to play on a big level. I remember I was sitting in a sales meeting in person at Allstate in north side of Chicago, and at their headquarters there. And we're trying to pitch them on how we can help them. They said, "How many people on your team?" Um, and I was sitting there like, shoot, I really like our entire company is like a fraction of the size of their TA group. I'm like, I gotta flex a little bit here because clearly the question they're asking is, are you big enough for us? Now,
Yeah,
it probably wasn't the question. They were just asking how many on the team, but I'm feeling
yeah.
insecure. So I said, I added up every single person, including flex people and spouses and the receptionist and anyone who I could say they're kind of on the team.
Yeah.
And I had a teammate with me, and he just he could tell I could see it in his eyes, like
He's like, we have that
you're not
many.
you're not telling the truth, dude. Um, you're exaggerating. And I walked out of the meeting and he said, why'd you do that? And I went, what? And he goes, why did you exaggerate how many people are on our team? Why don't you just say exactly how many it was? And I was like, well, and then I started justifying. I go, well, I was counting this person and this person and this person, and they help us with this little project. And like, he goes, but they were asking how many people can help. Like, do we have? And I'm like, you're right. So I
Yeah.
had to I'm like, what do I do now? Like, I talk about culture, I talk about values, I talk about integrity, I talk about being honest and ethically unwavering, inspiring trust. And I was like, and I'm not. I said something over there to try and get them to trust us more, but I actually undermined the trust with my own teammate. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I don't want to be that. And so I'm like,
Being a
okay, you're
visionary is
right.
hard. Damn it. Oh.
Well, okay, it all comes back to this thing, right? Of what you're
Yeah.
saying. How do you get these people to trust you? And they're,
Yeah.
in tears saying this. I'm like, you got to be trustworthy, and to fall on your sword and say, that wasn't true. I exaggerated. I did this wrong. Like,
Yeah.
leaders are not perfect, but when you do make a mistake and you do screw up or you do fudge something, that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that, and I want to put that right. And I had to go back to Allstate and say, "Hey, just want to clarify this because that's what this person was like. Going, hey, I'm really upset with how you did." So I apologized to them, and then went back to Allstate. We didn't get the deal. I don't think there's anything to do with that. I'm just like, hey, I just want to let you.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Yeah. Let me correct this. Yeah.
um, but I think sometimes it's easy when you've got vision and you're trying to get somewhere that you're willing to win at all costs and stamp and trample on people. That's the fastest way to lose people in their heart. They don't want to follow a leader like that.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting because when you think about like over the last like 10 years, like the growth of DE&I happened literally 10 years ago in corporate America. And at first it was like this foundational of, oh, let's just open the aperture fish from a lot of different pools. We'll get better talent. That was the kind of the crux of it. But at the same time, we were like, all of a sudden, you couldn't talk about culture because what culture meant was, oh, if you're a white guy owner culture, what you're saying is you just want to hire more white guys. And I'm like, no, like, I think you've hit it perfectly is like, no, no, no. We have a vision. We have a goal. We know where we're going. I want to be as inclusive as possible, but only if you want to go where we're going. And if you don't,
Totally. Yeah.
I don't care if you're female, male, non whatever, black, white, green. I don't give a shit. But you have to believe in where we're going or this will not work. And if anything has happened over the last 12 months, 18 months, whatever, that all of a sudden now I'm starting to hear this cultural conversation again. We saw it with one of the TA leaders that was in our group that we were there, where they were like, hey, we're using some AI to do screening, but now we're using our humans, recruiters, to actually have real deep conversation about why us? Why here? Why now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't really want to be here, let's just end this right now. Like, this is just dumb. You're not
Yeah.
going to love it. We're not going to love it. I tell that to my, like, when I hire recruiters all the time, I'm like, look, I don't know if you're going to love it here. I don't know if I'm going to like you, but I'm going to teach you a certain set of skills that you can take anywhere. You'll be valuable the rest of your life. I hope that we fall in love with each other and that you want to go where we're going. But like, let's figure that out because if you don't want to be here, this is going to suck for both of us, you know?
Yeah. Totally. I think that perspective of here's where we're going and be really, really clear on it and show that maybe a good image is a puzzle box.
Yeah.
You can have a 500-piece puzzle, but if somebody hands you all of those pieces in a Ziploc bag and said, "Here's a puzzle, go figure it out," but you know box, I'd be like, "Well, what is it? What's the end picture look like?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why don't you just figure it out and just ram any of those pieces in wherever you think they might possibly fit?
Yeah.
Start with the corners, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
okay, can
But
you do the puzzle? Of course
there's
you
so
can.
many workers across America, across the world right now that are in that issue, and they're in that, right? They feel like I'm working for a
Yeah,
company that, and like, again, the problem is I think the executive team goes, oh no, we know where we're going. We're a healthcare informatic company, blah, 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 and you're just like, what are we doing?
right. Because then people, it leaves it up to people to say, "Well, I see things differently. I think we should turn the puzzle upside down." And you're like, "No, if you turn the puzzle upside down, we can't see the picture." I'm like, "What
Yeah.
picture? You never told me there was a picture." So we've got to start with the puzzle box and go, here's the picture of the desirable future. Is that inspiring to you? Number one.
Yeah.
Not really. Then don't be here. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
be on board with the picture looks like this in 1 year's time, 2 years, 3 years time. I like 3 years because the average tenure right now across all generations is about 31 months in the US. So
Yeah.
I got a business plan and a business vision, and it looks like this in the next 3 years. And I want people to be dialed in on that so they actually stay past the average 31 months. I want you to be here in 3 years. Now I've got to say, okay, how do you fit inside this puzzle piece? Number one, like, where do you see yourself? I like to be that little boat in the image on the lake. I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Let's get you in that area. And you probably don't want to stay there for the next 3 years because on average, people want to see a promotion every 18 months, like, or know what's next at least. Okay, so we've got to show like what's next in the future vision. But I also long for diverse thought and perspective. I don't want everyone who's going to join in here and go, well, you're the vision person. I'll just
Yeah.
be a yes person and go, sure, Jonathan, whatever you want, Jonathan. No, actually, I don't know the best way of getting there. That's why you're here. Help me
Yeah.
do that. But as long as we're clear on that's where we're trying to go, I don't want you to come in here and give another vision, one vision. How we get there? Well, you help me.
Yeah.
Diverse thought and perspective. As long as you align with our character values, like how we do things, as long as we have the same definition of what passion looks like, it means you show up when you're supposed to show up. 100% of your comp equals 100% performance. So let's define both. Like, we can negotiate all day long about how much we pay you, but what are you going to do for that? Because you've got to hurry us to that picture. Anything we can get there faster, that's what I want you to do.
So, Jonathan,
Um,
when I hear you talk, it sounds like you have this strong culture, and in my mind, I'm having this vision of like this really cool office building with your teams working, collaborating. You guys are, I think, remote, right?
100%. Yeah, 100% remote.
Yeah. And
Um,
so I think that's where when we talk about this like in office, remote, and everybody's kind of combating, it really comes down to me like if you have great culture vision and you can maintain that, whether it doesn't matter where you're at. And like in my company, we have people that are all we have some full remote, some hybrid, some full in office. Everybody
Yeah,
chooses where they work best, right?
yeah.
Um, but again, I agree with you. I think there's this, craziness. Now, I do want to dig in a little bit on this because what we hear from all these younger generations is, well, they all want meaningful work. And you and I could
Mhm.
look at what we do because we're in parallel basically and go, is recruiting really meaningful work? I think it is because I'm like, look, any day I could be giving somebody their dream job, that excites me. That makes me passionate about what I'm doing, right? I can elevate somebody's career if they choose, to work with me. But a lot of people would look at it and go, it's just filling jobs, right? It's just, is it really
Yeah.
meaningful? React to that. Like, how do you, because you have a lot of younger workers, like, how do you combat that kind of, oh, I want to save puppies. And you're like, well, we need to make some money, right? Over here. We need to fill some jobs.
So one of the things I mean, we did this. I think looking for meaning in the meaningful work. Yeah, meaning in our meaningful work, like looking for it, like, okay, where is the meaning in this? If you're a janitor in Chicago airport, is this meaningful? Like, yeah, I'm like, I'm making this nice and clean so people don't have sticky floors and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
so they're just, you
Yeah.
dig in for the meaning. Or like, was it Kennedy? I think was at the Kennedy Space Center, years back. And he asked this guy, what do you do here? Who's guy mopping the floors? What, funny question to ask somebody who's mopping the floors, but
Yeah.
what do you do here? But he said, I'm putting a man on the moon, Mr. President. It's
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, he
Takes
saw
takes
something
all of us,
beyond.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, okay, so there's one perspective. Like, you can dig and find meaning in anything, but I think one of the things we realize is because there was this generational, like, I've got to know purpose, I've got to know meaning, and it's got to be a bit more emotive than we fill the job or butts in seats or whatever. So we started looking at everybody that we placed. We placed 1,500 people a year, so small, um, all in permanent, full-time roles, no
Yeah.
contract work. And so we just said, well, let's reach out to these people 90 days in, and we'll interview them on their new role. And we'll ask them, like, hey, how was the role, and was it what you expected? But we really want to care about one thing: how is this role impacting your life personally, not professionally? By taking this role, what is the implications and the impact on your personal world?
So good.
That was the only thing we wanted to know.
Yeah.
And then we would capture that on a little postcard with their photograph, their name, which company that, what their role is, and then the quote of how it's impacted their life. And we would get things like, I used to travel all the time, and now I'm able to take my daughter to ballet,
Yeah.
and just watch her do her ballet lesson each week, 3 times a week, and I've not missed one. I think that was it.
Yeah.
And we have the recruiter who recruited that person and placed them, read it in front of the whole company in our company-wide weekly huddle, and they would read it out to I placed and they would read this thing, and it was massively meaningful because they saw how the implication of, rather than this person got a 25% raise.
Yeah.
Okay, but what did you do with the
Well,
money?
yeah,
Like,
and it could be, right? It could be like, well, I got a raise, which allowed me to, right? Like I always like
yeah,
we discount the fact that most of us work to make money to pay the bills so we can have this great life for our families or ourselves or whatever
yeah,
that might be. Or maybe I love to give my money away, for charity, whatever that might be. That's meaningful as well. It's meaningful to work a job that you make money. You don't have to necessarily go into a nonprofit every single day. And that's the only way you have meaning, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think sometimes we screw with these kids' heads by believing like work if you work a job you love, you'll never work another day in your life. Like shut up. Like come on. Like I don't have to work a job I love. I can still love my life and work
right,
a job that allows me to love my life.
sure,
But we grew up in like generations that were like we saw parents and grandparents that were like their life was their job and they didn't seem excited or happy about that necessarily, right? So it was
yeah,
like,
which
how do we change that mentality, you know?
it is well. it is an interesting, I don't know, phenomenon, maybe a bit too big a word, but I think a privilege here in the United States, I'll say it that way, that
Yeah.
we raise kids and go, what do you want to do? Versus you're a farmer or I mean, like all of our last
Yeah.
names,
Baker, butcher,
blah,
blah,
blah.
blah, blah, across the world. You're gonna this is what the family does, you're gonna do it.
Yeah. I mean, like that's our family name is what we do. We're the bakers. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and go bake. That's what you do. Well, I'm not fulfilled. Like, it doesn't feel meaningful. It doesn't like this is our place in society. We make bread for people in the community. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're in this. The power of choice is amazing. I mean, obviously, it's from the dawn of time choice we have. But one of the things that we sort of push on our kids these days is you get to choose.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at 15-year-old at the end of my mum and dad's bed, going, what am I supposed to do in life? I'm like, I'm not massively academic. I'm not massively athletic. I'm not this. I'm not, I'm ridiculously good looking. I understand that. But what else am I going to do with that? Zoolander.
I bear this cross.
I was like Derek Zoolander. So, but yeah, it's kind of like, what do I do? And they say, well, one of the biggest, if you're looking to sort of find like something that really lights you up in life, one of the greatest things you can do is live in the service of others. And I'm like,
Yeah.
live in the service, like help other people. I'm like, I just said, what should I do? And you just said, help other people. And they were like, yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, fine. And so then I was like, help them do what? And they said, help them figure out what they're supposed to do in life. And I was like,
Right?
the thing
But
I'm asking you to do doesn't make sense. But here I am, like whatever, 30 something years later, going, oh, that's kind of what I do. I help companies figure out what they want to do and who they need to get it done.
yeah.
And then we go and find people who can do that and want to do it. That's great. And most of the time, it's better for their life because we're going after people who already have jobs and they're working well, and they're not going to make a career move if in their right mind it's bad. So they
Yeah.
think it's better for their life, for their personal life and career life and financial life, all that. Great. It's very meaningful work, the work that I think our teams do. And then on top of that, figuring out like you say the word curator of talent. I think just curating everything. I'm like, ooh, what it look like here? If we can pull this lever and this lever and lever. We found out that creating a for-profit, for-good organization, our teams are way happier to go above and beyond all of their goals. No, not thinking that Jonathan at the top and he's buying another boat,
Yeah.
and he's buying,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's got another lightning fast car because it's just fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they work overtime and they put in that discretionary effort and give it their all, I'm at the top going like Scrooge McDuck swimming in my pot of gold. That's not very inspiring to the generation that we have. And I think there are some people who look up, oh, look at this person, he's like made it. And but I
Yeah.
think the type of people that we hire on our team are motivated by the greater good, and so they would actually enjoy the fact that I would be giving up some of my privilege, if you will, as a
Jonathan,
business owner.
is it tough? Like the charity thing, I get. By the way, like this, and I think everybody listening probably knows this. Like I actually own and run the company my mother started 45 years ago, right?
Yeah,
And she was classic, like baby boomer, and she would literally say this to people, like my charity is my family. Like that's what she, like that's where she wanted her money to go. Blah blah
yeah,
blah. But she had this like she said, here's the problem with running a company where you go, oh, we're going to do habitat or we're going to do whatever, we're going to do this, is that while some of the people might be like, oh my God, that's amazing, we're going to build houses for people that can't have them, you might have somebody else over there that's completely unmotivated by that or not motivated at all, but they would be motivated by saving puppies or something else. And so like everybody has their own kind of charity thing. And as your company gets bigger, does it become harder as a leader, as an organization to go, okay, we're supporting this, but then potentially someone's like, well, that's not what I want to support.
yeah, totally. Well, number one, everyone's free to support whatever they want with their income. So
For sure.
I'm saying it's my money, and rather than me keeping it all,
Yeah.
we're going to take a portion of that and give to the things that you care about. So number one, it's in a bucket that
Got
they
it.
get to pick. So we give to things that our team members care about and are involved in. It's just one of our requirements. You've got to be
Yes.
involved You can't just be, oh, I found this thing in my community. Somebody said they needed money. We're not looking for people who want money. Like, that's
Yeah.
easy. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
everyone wants
yeah.
money. So
For
we're not,
sure.
when people, oh, if you're looking to give away some money, I heard you're looking to give away $30 million. And I'm like, we already found it. Like, we already
Yeah.
found where it's going. It's not hard. But so we give to the things our people care
Okay.
about and that they're involved
I
with.
like that.
And I
I like
realized,
that design. Do they have to come to you then and request, and you guys have like a committee,
fill out,
all
no,
that
no
stuff?
committees, fill out a form, put a
Okay.
request in, and we'll write a check. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
one of the things I realized as parents, and when our kids get involved in youth sports, school, club sports, etc., every now and again there's like a parent meeting, and you realize that you just got roped in. It feels like a timeshare, but you're selling candy bars all of a sudden. You're like,
Yes.
what am I doing? I don't want to
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
candy bars.
So
Don't
they
want to
can
spend.
have the fanciest uniforms on the field. Yeah.
And so, pure selfish, because I don't want to sell candy bars. I remember kind of like, oh, how much are the uniforms? Like, I'll tell you what, nobody's selling candy bars. That's how much you need. Easy. I'll write the
Yeah.
check. And everyone's
But
looking at
they
me
still
like,
want to sell candy bars because now they want new bats. They always want something like
yeah.
matching shoes, like blah blah blah. You're like, oh no, we don't need this.
I understand you can say there's a principle for getting kids out there, like kind of earning it and raising the money. Totally. I just don't want to spend my weekends doing it. I'd much rather spend time
For
like doing it.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, easy, write a check. And I was like, well, I can do that because I got the money to do it and I didn't have to think. To me, it was like nothing, like whatever. And I realized that feeling as a business owner, because I've got the money, I would love all of our team members to feel that, because it's a great
Yeah.
feeling where you go,
Yeah.
my company will cover it. And all of the parents go, there's a mixture here. Like, who the frick are you? Wait, none of
Yeah.
us have to sell candy bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like this guy. um, he's the one that we none of us want to sell candy bars. So it's great. Yeah. So
I love
I'm
that.
like, okay, I want to empower our team members with that feeling. So I
Yeah.
told them the story. I'm like, when you are involved in something, so we love giving to kids sports because I think it's great
Yeah.
in their community. It's great for discipline, great for all the teamwork, everything. It's what it's great when you hire people who've understood team sports, and discipline and winning, etc. The other thing we love to give to is just anything to do with kids, rescuing kids, anti-human trafficking, anything in the
Yeah.
horrific sex slavery world. I'm like, an
Yes.
atrocity, it needs to end. Boom, we give to those kind of things. We love giving stuff with veterans, where just people are treated. Who are not treated with dignity. We want to see dignity. Poverty
It's there's
is a
so
is a
many
dignity issue. So we give to those
so
things.
many areas, right? Like that's the crazy part. Like it seems
Yeah,
like we're supplementing, like we have so much waste in government, and yet they ask, like America's supplementing all what the government should be trying to help with all this other stuff. Like it's insane. Anyway, I don't want to go down that
yeah.
path, but yeah,
You know,
let's do
you really
three
don't.
hours on. It's a Joe Rogan podcast on political waste.
But I think in simple wrap that up is you can have some themes, like, just so everyone knows, we love giving to these things. We do.
Yes,
That's the type of people we hire. They hate this kind of stuff and they want to bring dignity to these areas. And anyone can ask for anything else in it as well. Somebody asked me, well, what if somebody wants you to give to things that you principally just are anti?
don't agree with. Yeah,
I won't do it. Like, what do you do? So we
yeah,
have some sort of safety markers around that, and I think you just have to curate and engineer what you value. And the thing is, at the end of the day, you probably end up hiring people who value the similar things.
for
So
sure. Yeah, I agree. All right, I'll get you out on this. There's this like this concept around these young people don't want to work right now, and you and I both have to hire young people, teach them how to recruit, bring them in, blah blah blah. What's your feeling on that, and how are you dealing with that?
so I like figuring out what are the tests that we can put in place or assessments that find out willingness to work. So I think often what we'll do in our interview process internally to join Titus is we'll go, okay, here are the type of people we like, who have drive, motivation, all this kind of stuff. How do we figure that out with actually going, do you have drive? Oh yes,
Yeah,
I have drive.
yeah,
Are
yeah,
you
yeah.
motivated? Yes, very motivated. I'm a top performer. Really? Okay, good. Um, so like
Again, you're
what
asking
are
them, how well can you lie to me right now? Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I remember we hired somebody a very long time ago, and first week they were sending an email, submitting a candidate, and they were sending an email to a client, and somebody was like, Did you see their email? It was awful. They had all of this typo, the grammar, is everything. It was like, this is the worst written email. And we're like, shoot, we don't ever assess people's writing ability in our interview process. And I'm like, okay, we got to create one. So we create this thing. We call it our core values are called our live values. Like we say,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not just core on the website. We actually live them every single day. We interview based on them. It's like very, very clear. Here are our 5 values. So we were like, okay, how do we get to find out their writing sample? So we created this thing called the live values assignment. We said,
Yeah.
you as a candidate, we want you to reach out to 3 people in the company and interview them. Take 15 minutes. Here are our live values. Choose the top 2 that are meaningful to you as a candidate. So here are our values. And think about it through the lens of your own interpretation of those, and then interview our employees based on those values, like how do they show up, etc., and write your interview notes and summary and send them in to us. It's part of the interview process. So
Love
we
that.
created this, and our goal was writing sample.
Yeah.
But what we found was there are so many multifaceted parts of it. Number
Choosing
one,
for culture, right? Like you're
yeah,
immediately making them go, God, do I want to be a part of this?
yeah. And we found that they create a buddy. Number 2, there's a buddy system. They've met 2 people that they didn't know, or 3 people that they never knew before. And now they're like, oh, I'm connected with these people in the company. It's really cool. They get brought in and drawn into the culture of the company, which is really exciting. Um, we also get to see their writing sample. And we also get to ask them, like, hey, why did you pick those people?
Yeah.
You chose them. Why did you reach out to Ben? Well, because they were number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
So you went on
Mm.
LinkedIn, you pulled up our employees, and Barb was number
Bing.
1, and so you reached out to Barb. You lazy person! Like in my mind, I'm thinking like, you're going to reach out to the very first person. What you didn't
Yeah.
do any research. You didn't go. I'd like to hear their perspective. And so Barb is a true story. She happens to be the top of our list, and she gets the most reach outs. And I'm like, candidates. I'm like, I'm not as interested.
You
I'm not
tell her to
told to hire
change your LinkedIn profile to Z-Barb. Like,
so funny.
by the way, though, when we think about like all the AI that's being layered in and the impersonalization of what's happening for most companies, like that's a secret sauce that's so easily replicated for so many companies when they're going, how do we know if these people like they just used AI to apply to 100 jobs. Like, how do we know if they really want to come work here? It's a brilliant exercise to get
Yeah,
people to kind of come through, right, on that. I think we undervalue the desire of people wanting to work for our company. At the end of the day, when we take a look at all the skills somebody has, definitely you have obviously outliers on both ends, but for the
yeah,
most part, they're not that big a difference. But then
yeah.
desire, passion, motivation, all that stuff becomes a big one. Like, I love to ask people, "Are you passionate?" Like, "Yeah, oh yeah, super passionate." Cool. What are you passionate about? And then then I start digging in. Okay, what do you do about that? Well, and I remember hiring a gal that like, she had no recruiting background, but like, she's like, "I'm passionate about ballroom dancing." I'm like, "Tell me more." And she went through this whole thing of how she got introduced to it, and then she wanted to take lessons, and then she was doing competitions. Because I'm like, if you can be passionate about something, then maybe you can be passionate about recruiting. I don't know, but so often, like somebody will go, "Oh my god, I love recruiting," and then you're like, "Oh, cool, tell me more. Like, who do you follow? What do you do?" Well, I know. I mean, I show up every day and just I love recruiting. Like, they do nothing. Like, you're not passionate about recruiting. You just want a job. Which again, I'm okay.
Which is
Cool. I
fine.
love that too. That's fine. But I want passionate people. And
Yeah.
you might hate it, but you might love it. If I know you can be passionate about something, I know you can actually do it. So I don't do what you guys do, but you might like this as like a CEO is when we interview somebody new or we're going through that process, the interview I have with them is I actually make them call and interview me.
Yeah.
I just
That's
and they're
similar.
like
It's great. Yeah.
and I said because you're gonna have a million conversations with people, and if you can't call and just like find out who I am and have a normal conversation, this job is gonna be really effing hard for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I mean, even if you know nothing about recruiting, you know how to have a you better know how to have a conversation with somebody. If you can't have that conversation, I don't know if I can teach that to you, you know?
Yeah. I think it's great. I might figure out how to add that one in. especially when you're doing executive, like at the end of the interview process. I like that. I was thinking the other day of like, how do we, you know, how when you go and fill out some form and then they give you the image and they're trying to
Yeah.
find out if you're a bot or not. Are you human? You're like, maybe I think so.
I know,
Uh,
yeah.
and
I'll let my AI ask
trying to
that,
prove
answer
that you're
that.
human. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about like what kind of questions could we put in an application to eliminate bots doing it? And I don't know if this is a good one, but I was thinking to find out if it's a bot or not, you could say, "What was the last movie you watched? How did you feel about the movie? Who did you watch it with? Were you watching with somebody? If so, who? How did you feel about the movie?" And apply one principle, one metaphor from the movie to your current job.
Yeah.
Do you
I
think that
will
would
tell you how, like, this is
that'd be
an
good?
actual candidate fraud thing that's going on. It's companies are building, like, candidate fraud stuff. They literally will ask the question, "What was the 1986 record of Man United?" Because a bot can immediately answer that.
Yeah,
A real person couldn't. And so they'd be like in the moment of like kind of going through the screening thing. And so they're trying to like figure out candidate fraud. I like how what you're doing there though is like, how do we make sure it's human, it's not bot or blah 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 as you're
yeah,
going through some of that stuff. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff regarding that. We don't like I always tell people like in the staffing world or like in like headhunting world, it's not as the candidate fraud thing's not as big because we do more outbound than inbound. Like we're constantly reaching out to an individual that we know from that standpoint. But yeah,
that's
well,
interesting. I'm gonna put more thought into that. I mean, we also don't deal with applicants, but I'm like, our clients deal with applicants, and how do you
yeah,
set up those sort of things to catch people? I think find real what motivates you. So we talk about the head, the heart, the briefcase. Briefcase meaning skills and experience. What do you bring to the table? That's often why people hire people, but they
yeah,
fire them for who they are. You hire them for what they know, and then you fire them for who they are.
yeah,
And it's like, how do I figure out is this who I want to work with? So we say it's the heart and the head, like behaviors and cognitive, like how the implications of the decisions they make, and then how do they behave? Shouting. There's a fire in a movie theater. Like, do they look at how many exits there are? They're trying to figure out who needs to help getting out. Are they just bolting for the door the fastest on their own? Like, how do they function? Are they, quick or assessy or so that's the head component. The heart is all
yeah,
about values, character, and motivation. And I think motivation to do the work, like what would motivate you to do this really, really well? What would motivate you to do it 120%?
yeah,
Like money? Great. I'm fine with that. Like what
yeah.
else?
We'll make that work. Yeah,
Career? Like what are the things that drive you? What makes you quit? Like
yeah,
why are you even considering leaving your current employer?
yeah,
And is it running away from something or running towards something? Are you an opportunist or are you fear based? Like I want to understand motive because I got to figure out how the team dynamic is going to work. When I say, hey, things are looking pretty rough for our business right now, we all need to work really hard. What does that mean? Are we going to lose our jobs? I remember COVID. It was like everyone wanted to know what's the line, what's the number. If we go below that, when should we be worried about our jobs? I'm like, we're not going to hit the line, everybody. We're going that way. And they're like, yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
what is
yeah,
the number? There was a group of people desperately wanted to know what the number for when
yeah,
they would get that done. And I'm
yeah,
like, stop focusing on that. Focus on the top line and let's crush it.
yeah,
But it's like, and I realized at that point during COVID, we bounced back like some folk did. This is our best
yeah.
year out of that. It was very exciting. The rebound was amazing, but I recognized there were a certain DNA of our team members who were set on the growth, and there's a certain group of people who were focused on the line,
Yeah, they're focused on the
the
floor,
fear
right?
and reward. And the
Yeah,
reward ones, I love being around those reward ones who say, let's crush it. I
yeah.
don't enjoy being around the people like, well, what point do we start laying people off? I'm like, why are you even talking about it?
It
So,
is weird because like I've always been this person that was never afraid to be fired. And I think there's some strength and power in that. There's some risk in that for if you hire me because you don't know what I'm going to say or do because I don't care if you're going to fire me. And that was, but like, there's so many people that they live their life with this fear of being fired. I think majority of people, and rightly so. I got bills to pay. I got put food on the table for my family. Blah blah blah. Like that's legitimate.
yeah,
But when you find people who are unafraid, the freedom that comes with to go for the top line is completely different because they don't care about the floor. The floors to them
yes,
was never there, you know. And like they want to blow the ceiling off the place. Is really what they do. It's but I don't know how you discover that. Like you said, you discovered it through this kind of complex business, environment that we went through. And I know that I have that here in my own company as well, that we have both of those. And sometimes you need both. I don't know. It's weird. It's such an interesting thing. Trying to, like, Laszlo Block did this when he was at Google, right? He was like, we're 1% better than a coin flip on talent. And I tell people all the time, I still believe I'm a coin flip when I go to choose somebody. I think they're gonna make it, but it seems like it's a coin flip. And you're just like, how do we get away from making it better than a coin flip for anybody? And it's hard to scale any of this. Like, I think people look at you, you're talking, you're like, oh my God, that would be so great. Except we could never scale that. And I'm like, no, with AI, I think you could. Like, all the tactical work of
Oh
recruiting
yeah.
can be gone. You can now have real conversations with people and go, is this the person? Is this really the person I want to have work here on this team?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing when people talk about like quality of hire. Like, okay, what's our measurement if we're actually good at hiring? And so I come back to, okay, if you go to your boss or your manager, I need to hire a new team member. Okay, what do you want them to do? I just want a good culture fit. Like, okay, no, nobody. All right, how much is that going to cost? Like, you sound lonely. You sound like you need a friend. Like, if you just need a
Yeah.
culture fit, like,
Yeah,
no,
let me
what
make you
do
an
you
agent.
want them to do? Like, I need somebody who's a defensive lines person right here because I've got a block. I've got the enemy's coming through. The
Yeah.
opposition's coming through. I need somebody right there in that spot, that part on the field. Okay, and what do you need them to do? I need them to stop 87% of the stuff coming through.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are we going to measure that? Yes, we're going to measure it. Okay, how much is that going to cost us? It's going to cost us this much. All right, great. Do it because I can see the impact.
Yeah.
Somebody at some point in time has to evaluate and say, did that work? Did it do what we wanted it to do? If
Yeah.
not, let's get rid of it. Or upgrade it or something. But who's responsible for the rec being open all the way through? And I say anniversary date, 1 year anniversary. Who's responsible? Going, did we do that really well? Did we hire well? Did we attract the right person? Did we integrate
Wow.
them, onboard them, assess them, and say? So what hiring leaders go, well, it's TA, and TA goes, no, you hired them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Once the
so
rec is
they're
filled.
both
Yeah.
both pointing at somebody else and say it's not my prop. I cannot be held accountable for the success of people we hire. I just think that's I don't know the
Jonathan,
complete answer, but who's responsible?
no, but you just unlocked something for me because I keep asking myself this question. If AI takes away 75%, I asked this question when I was with you and the team. If AI takes 75% of the tactical work away, what could we do? And what you're just describing to me is hiring success. Like, we need a division or a group or a person, depending on the size of your company, that is responsible for hiring success, which means not really, okay, yeah, the person's hired, but now did we do the thing we were supposed to do when we hired them and it ended up with the result we were supposed to do? Kind of an internal doge. But
Yeah,
like hiring success of like going, hey, like you said, at the anniversary date, or even like measuring monthly or data, quarterly, whatever you have, going up to that point, like, is this having the impact we think it should? And if it's not, we need to course correct or we need to change. Like, there has to be
yeah,
something that has to happen instead of going, oh, it's our anniversary. Here's your 3% raise. Like, wait a minute, why? Like, what happened?
because you're still here. Thank you for being here. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I
So
know I
good.
said to somebody,
That's
I said,
so
okay,
good.
100% salary. Like, everyone wants to negotiate this. Do you think I get an extra $5,000 in my salary? I'm like, always negotiate at the height of the. I'm like, if anyone came to me and said, hey, do you think you can give me another 10 grand in base? I'd be like, totally, no problem. I just need to get an additional $10,000 worth of straight quantifiable value. What does that look like in
Yeah.
increased value to me? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, well, you're asking for 10 grand more. I need to get 10 grand more as well. So let's look at this.
Yeah.
If I have a contractor come to my house and they go, we're going to do your bathroom, and they come up with this quote, and I'm like, all right, they're like, okay, I'm like, you're about 10 grand too high. And I'm like, they're like, well, it's my
Here's what we
time,
can
the
cut. Here's
product.
what we can cut, right?
And I'm like, no, I don't want to
You don't
cut
want the
that.
Venetian tile? Cool. We'll put like,
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, that's how it works with a contractor.
Yeah.
Why does it not work like that in employment? Like, it's all about what value you bring to. we're adding value to the business or whatever it is you're trying to, or the organization. So if you want more, if you want to take more, you got to give more. That's all. Um, and if I'm way off on market comps, I need to adjust that. But if you're saying it's not fair what I'm asking of you, that's fine. Go somewhere else, or I need to
Yeah.
adjust.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Hey, I'm going to get you out of here because otherwise we're going to turn this into a Rogan podcast, which I want to bring you back because there's probably other things we could have these kind of conversations. And I think I've already gained a lot out of it. And I think people will gain a lot out of this. How can people find you?
Jonathan D. Reynolds. The D is just to eliminate all of the spam I get, so it's quite clever on LinkedIn, Jonathan D. Reynolds. See,
Yeah.
my little last tip for you. Ready? Put your initial there, and then when you get emails come through or text
You
messages,
know,
hello, Jonathan
it's
D. I automatically filter those out. They're people who scrape data, and it's a bot basically because nobody says hello, Tim S. What's your
yeah,
middle initials?
W.
W. All right. So there you go. That's my little
There
tip.
you
You can
go.
find me
That's a good one. So find you on LinkedIn, Jonathan D. Reynolds or TitusTalent.com,
on
Titus
.com.
Talent
Yep.
Solutions. What is it?
Nope. Titus Talent. It's
Okay.
strategies, but everyone says
Oh,
solutions when they don't.
sorry.
But
Titus
just go
Talent.
titustalent.com. Find us there.
And
Um,
also you do professional speaking.
I do.
Do you do recruiting talents talks, other talks? What do you
Yeah.
specialize in on that?
The one this year is the human connection, the advantage in an AI-driven world, competitive advantage. So that's the big theme this year. But I speak on impact and generosity and retaining great talent and those kind of things. So, yep.
Well, I like Jonathan. I think you guys are going to like him. That's why I wanted him on. He's a visionary. You just ask him. Um,
Just
and
ask him.
he's got a wicked sense of humor as well, which I love. Which what I love. So, and he's a curator of talent. I define that for him. So I think he's amazing at that. And I meet very few people in the world that are as good at doing that or looking at the talent the way you do. So appreciate you sharing that gift with us. And I hope people reach out to you. And thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, I heard about you with your first with the Talent Fix book, and I was like, I like this guy, and just everything that the things that you're doing, your approaches, and your opinions and thought on stuff as a practitioner. I'm like, I want to be around. I want to be in that room. So it was great having you on the Talent Cruise as well, and getting to know you on a
By the way,
deeper level.
we get like whenever you guys decide next, you got to like have the team reach out. I had so many people go, wait a minute, why was I not invited? And I'm like, I wasn't my invite to give.
Anyway, we got a really great commercial video coming out on it for next year's
Sweet.
talent retreat, and we might invite you back, Tim. Who knows?
Hey, I'd love to be a part of it. All right, everybody, that's HR Famous. Another episode in the books. We'll try harder next time, and we're out.